Economic supply is a second model used over and over again in economics. While demand is an easy idea to wrap your head around because you have lots of experience with it, supply is a bit more difficult. You know all about buying things, which is all about demand. But most of you don't have much experience selling goods or services, and that makes it hard to put yourself in the shoes of a typical business or firm dealing with how price and quantity are related in the marketplace. Furthermore, businesses often have some control over the price at which they sell a good, making the whole idea of economic supply even trickier. We'll have a lot more to say about this later. We define economic supply very much the same way in which we define demand. Economic supply is the relationship between a price and a quantity, but now it's the relationship between the market price of a good and the quantity offered for sale. And just like with demand, we're talking about in a given period of time. Note that market price is simply a clever way of saying that the seller has no control over price, just like you rarely have any control as a buyer. For example, when it's time to buy gas, you certainly can't bargain over what the price is. The gas pump taking your card just doesn't listen. But similarly, the gas station owner or manager faces pretty much the same price of gas everywhere out in the market, and they don't have control over the price either. Their incentive is to closely match that in the nearby market. If they set the price too high, say $4 per gallon when the going price is $3.75, then the number of customers plummets and their sales plummet. But if they set the price lower than their cost to purchase gasoline in the first place, then they will lose money each time they sell gas. Focus on cost is, in fact, a useful perspective for an alternate way to think about economic supply. Looking at it this way, we can make an alternate definition. Again, we're just talking about a relationship between some kind of monetary value and a quantity, but now we're going to be looking at the relationship between the cost of production, the cost of producing the next unit of the good, and again, the quantity that is offered for sale. Just as with economic demand, we typically represent economic supply as a table or schedule, an equation, or a graph. Starting with a schedule for the economic supply for, say, pizza produced by one business. We're going to look at the relationship between the quantity, the number of pizzas produced per day, and the price at which those pizzas are offered for sale. Say the market price of pizzas is $10 per pizza, and the firm offers 50 for sale. But the firm also may have a cost of production of just $10 per pizza and could also offer 200 per day for sale at a price of $10. But if they tried to increase production up to 250, they might not have the oven space, or otherwise the business might not be large enough, and they'd have to run all over town to get somebody else's pizza to meet the ability to deliver those, and now their price goes up to, or their cost goes up to $20 per pizza. We could show this in an equation as well. A similar, though not identical, kind of economic supply here might be that quantity equals 10 plus quantity plus 0.01 Q squared, where Q is in thousands. Showing something that is similar but not identical to the schedule we had before. We can also, of course, show this also as a graph. And again, we're going to use the usual price and quantity axes. Our price is going to be our dollar per pizza. And we're going to have $10 or $20 as the possibilities. For quantity, we're going to look at the number of pizzas per day. And let's let that quantity go up to 250, but also show the number 200 and the number 100 from the schedule. Looking from the schedule at $10 per pizza, one option is to offer 50 for sale, but because the cost of production does not really go up, they also could offer 200 for sale. But getting above 200, the cost of production goes way up rather steeply because they don't have the oven space to produce the pizza themselves. So looking at it the economic supply curve might be relatively flat and then start sloping up rather steeply. That would be a very typical case for an economic supply curve. Again, I want to add ceteris paribus to our definition here. Everything else equal. Ceteris paribus in this case means that what is being held constant is largely the cost of inputs. If it's pizza, that means the rent for the building, the ovens, and the cost of flour, tomato sauce, and of course, wages. If we're talking about the supply of pizza for all of Albany, then the number of pizza businesses is also held constant. Just like demand, economic supply is a model, or one approach to understanding the marketplace decisions made by businesses.